Agniveers is all set to be India's new young and dynamic protector. As per a scheme launched by the Government of India, it's going to be recruiting a lot of young, enthusiastic people into the armed forces for a short tenure. Giving you the details of the scheme, there are going to be about 46,000 people who are going to be recruited. These people are going to serve a period of 4 years and given an attractive package, out of which about 30% per month is going to be set aside in a corpus, which will be given to them at the end of 4 years. And this corpus will be given along with interest and a matching contribution by the government. And it's going to turn out to be a tidy sum of about 11.7 lakh, which will be given to them when they leave after serving for 4 years. In terms of why is the government doing it, there are merits and there are some people who feel there might be demerits. Now let's look at the positive side of it. Of course, it's going to bring in a lot of young blood into the armed forces, which is good. It will make it more dynamic. These people who are coming in will be perhaps more technologically savvy, considering they're young, more in line with contemporary technology, and bring in enthusiasm and verve and bring down the average age of the defense forces by about 4 to 5 years. In terms of the downtake, one looks at the fact that perhaps they may not be as motivated as a regular, considering that they know that they're going to be going out of the armed forces very shortly. So that's one, and that might impact the ethos of the fabric of the armed forces the way it exists today. So that could perhaps be a demerit of the scheme. But I want to go beyond what I have just said in terms of the benefits or perhaps the disadvantages of the scheme and go into an analysis as to there is a deeper thinking as to why the government's doing it and why such a scheme has come at an appropriate time. Look at China. It's got a huge military, it's got a huge number of manpower, soldiers in terms of foot soldiers there. And you look at their age profile and you match them with ours. It has been an assiduous policy of President Xi Jinping as a focal point to bring down the age of the soldiers in China and to have an absolutely young and dynamic force there. In fact, a lot of the people who are now recruited into the Chinese army are post-1995 born. So when you look at what you're up against, that is one area when you understand why we too need an extremely young army, and this is perhaps going to serve that advantage. Besides that, I want to go into another aspect, and that is which came to my mind through a conversation with General Bipin Rawat, a former CDS, or late CDS rather I should say, which I spoke with him in 2019 during the Colonel Pyarelal Memorial Lecture, and he was yet to be announced the CDS, and we had this conversation about his future vision. He not only talked about the army but about defense forces in general, and he said that absolutely required to have more young blood into the defense forces of India. We need to have a leaner machine, meaner machine, fitter machine, and that was perhaps his thrust at that time. And he then talked about where are the grey areas in terms of our manpower structure, our recruitment, in terms of manpower management. And he said, look at these people who are sepoys or havaldars, and they're all retiring at a very young age, perhaps late 40s, early 50s, and then the government has a pension tab to pay, which is for perhaps half of their lives which are remaining, which means you are recruiting a person, using him to a certain point, and after that for nearly 3-4 more decades you're paying him pension. And when that person is going and you're paying the pension, you're also then having to cater for all those vacancies which are being formed. And you're recruiting new people into those vacancies. So what happens is you pay a higher pension bill because the retirement age is so young, and you pay full salaries to people who are being brought in as replacements. Where does that take the wage bill for the military? It inflates it to a very large extent, and that is precisely the reason he wanted that either we tell the people who are retiring earlier and change the policy where the retirement ages are perhaps extended, especially for those who are completely fit and can continue and given some additional years of service, or that we have a sort of rotating scheme where there was, of course, it wasn't so well delineated, it wasn't so well thought out as has been brought out by Agnipath. But this ideation process of making the armed forces younger has been going on for a while. That is the context and the point that I was trying to make here. And for sure, I think this scheme, with the people coming in at a very young age and then 75% of them going out of the system so soon after, within 4 years, keeps the army in a perennially young stage, which is, I think, a huge positive. And besides that, look at the kind of pool of talent that you have access to. Rather than just recruiting 25% of the workforce that you require, you're recruiting so many more people. You have seen the talent of such a large number of people, and you can actually cherry pick the best to give them longer service, which is again a huge advantage because the pool goes up so much that you'll look at the merits of different people and pick accordingly. And for the person who's leaving the defense forces after 4 years, will leave with such rich experience. He would be trained, he would be thoroughly patriotic, disciplined, would have learned so many new things as being a part of the armed forces. One is really privileged to be a part of the armed forces, learns so much from there. And that person is going to go out with precious experience, which he will use for the rest of his life.